Appreciate y'all for tuning in. But before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so you get a notification every time I go live or drop a video. I appreciate it.
In a home video, Oakley Carlson sits in a high chair with a bib on. The remnants of her mashed potatoes coat her tiny cheeks and nose.
Do you devour the mashed potatoes?
No.
Yes, you did.
The voice you hear is Oakley's foster mom, Jamie Jo Hiles. This video was taken in 2018, about a year after Oakley had been removed from her biological parents and sent to live with Jamie Jo and her husband. She describes Oakley as a dream baby.
Because she slept almost all night. She would try any foods, and she just was pleasant. Like, there wasn't a lot of times that she was upset.
For the Hiles, Oakley's arrival in their lives was a dream come true. The couple had been trying unsuccessfully to get pregnant, and then one day, Jamie Jo, who teaches in the local schools, got a text from a former student asking if she'd be willing to foster Oakley. The couple didn't hesitate, especially because they were under the impression they might ultimately be able to adopt her.
It wasn't something we sought out, but it worked out.
Washington's Department of Children, Youth, and Families has a goal of limiting the time a child is in foster care. But in Oakley's case, months turned into a year, turned into 2 years. In the care of the Hiles, Oakley grew from an easygoing infant into a talkative toddler.
Can we take it off?
Take what off?
Let's ask it off.
Why?
But then, in October 2019, 2 years and 2 months after Oakley had come to live with them, the Hiles were notified that she was being reunited with her parents. The Hiles were devastated.
We cried, and then we went upstairs and we shut the door to her bedroom for months, probably 6 months. So it was literally like a death.
It's not clear exactly what happened next. The Department of Children, Youth, and Families won't comment on Oakley's case, citing privacy, and denied a public records request for information. The last confirmed sighting of Oakley was 9 months later, in February 2021. But Oakley wasn't reported missing until months after that, in December 2021. That's when a local school principal became concerned after talking with one of Oakley's siblings. Detective Sergeant Paul Logan of the Grays Harbor County Sheriff's Office says Oakley's parents were not helpful.
The responses to the fairly simple questions that were asked were met with hostility and answers that didn't make any sense.
Oakley was declared missing, and the sheriff's office sought a search warrant for the family's sprawling rural property near Oakville, Washington.
Around 7 different agencies are desperately searching for 5-year-old Oakley Carlson. Beyond
that search in the rains last December drew TV news cameras and lasted several days, but did not turn up Oakley or her body. Later, though, her parents, Andrew Carlson, a former Aberdeen police officer, and Jordan Bowers, faced charges related to their other children. Both recently were sentenced on charges of child endangerment for exposing their kids to methamphetamine. But they haven't been charged in connection with Oakley's disappearance. Again, Detective Sergeant Logan.
In this case, everyone's concerned and everyone is looking at this situation like this is wrong. But at the same time, there's no law in the books for something just being wrong.
Logan says the investigation continues with the help of the FBI. In the meantime, he acknowledges there's little hope of finding Oakley alive.
At this point, the presumption is that she's deceased.
Logan says he has no information on how the Department of Children, Youth, and Families handled Oakley's case, but her former foster mom, Jamie Jo Hiles, is convinced the agency mishandled things. She says the reunification in late 2019 felt rushed. She also questions whether DCYF, in the midst of the COVID pandemic, adequately monitored the family after reunification, and whether the agency followed up when she reported additional concerns about Oakley.
DCYF and the state of Washington, they should be sweating bullets, because I know that once that information is public, I know that people are going to find out that they have completely dropped the ball.
While DCYF won't comment on the case, the agency's goal, whenever safely possible, is to reunite children with their biological parents.
A renewed effort is being established to answer the question, where is Oakley Carlson? A question Oakley's parents have been tight-lipped about.
We want answers and we want justice. The system completely failed.
The case captivating the community, demanding for answers from the biological parents of the little girl, including Oakley's foster mom.
I know I didn't give birth to Oakley, but she was my child. And I've said it before that I saw her first steps, that I was there for her first dance recital. I mean, she was my little girl.
In the midst of it all, Oakley's parents pleading guilty to child abandonment charges not only for Oakley's disappearance, but for the treatment of another child.
I deeply regret my failings as a father.
Do the right thing and tell us where Oakley is. That's what everybody wants.
The reward for information that brings Oakley home has now climbed to $20,000.
Foster Teen's Jennifer Dowling talked to her former foster mom about what the increase in reward money means to that community.
Posters like this line the streets of Elma calling for justice for Oakley. People here, along with her foster mom, are hoping the increased reward encourages someone to come forward with new information.
So we got little Miss Oakley here at the wildlife refuge.
Pictures of Oakley Carlson still adorn the walls where she used to live with foster parents Eric and Jamie Jo Hiles.
We have photos of Oakley everywhere throughout our house. We've got her Mickey Mouse ears with her name. We never got to take her to Disneyland.
The little girl came to live with them when she was around 8 to 9 months old and stayed with the couple for almost 3 years before going back to her biological parents. Then she disappeared.
I still hope that she's alive. Like, that's my hope.
Jamie Jo has been outspoken in her concerns that something terrible may have happened to Oakley and started selling t-shirts to increase the reward money for any information leading to the location of Oakley or an arrest in the case.
I am so grateful. So it kind of started in March. It's all been grassroots. It's private. I've been working with a really great advocacy group called Light the Way.
Jamie Jo has always believed that Oakley's biological parents haven't been forthcoming with information about their daughter. Investigators have said the last confirmed sighting of Oakley was in February 2021, but she wasn't reported missing until months later in December 2021 after fire damaged the family's home.
And it wasn't until I think 2 or 3 weeks later that Oakley was discovered missing.
The couple has also expressed concerns about how Washington's Department of Children, Youth and Families handled Oakley's child welfare case and the decision to return the child to her biological parents.
I write Governor Inslee every single week. Every single week.
Oakley's biological parents, Andrew Carlson and Jordan Bowers, remain behind bars. They were sentenced on unrelated charges. Bowers was sentenced to 20 months after pleading guilty to withholding necessary medication from another child in their care, Oakley's sibling. Andrew Carlson was sentenced to 12 months in prison for charges involving the same child.
I haven't done a lot of things correctly in the last 7 years or so.
You know, I'm grateful that they both, at least Andrew was able to take some ownership and admit guilt. Jordan, the mother, she took an Alfred's plea, so she is still maintaining her innocence, but she just took the plea because she was afraid that she'd be found guilty if she were to go to trial, which to me that doesn't accept responsibility that her children, aside from Oakley, have suffered a lot of trauma.
For now, the posters remind the public in Grays Harbor County to look out for Oakley. In this location, her poster sits next to Lindsay Baums, another young girl that went missing in the community more than a decade ago. Jamie Jo hopes the $20,000 in reward money leads to answers in Oakley's case so it doesn't go cold.
Binoculars.
Your binoculars.
See?
Money does talk. If people do know something, I'm really hopeful that if they know something but they've been afraid to do something or tell somebody about it, that you know, it's worth talking to somebody about.
Now I know that was a lot of information to take in, but I haven't did a video on Oakley Carlson in a while because there's really no information. As you can see, they're still searching for her. Of course, you know, I did videos in the past about the parents being sentenced for crimes that's unrelated, but somewhat related to the negligence of their kids. One thing that really bothers me is the fact that they could just tell the police, this is the last time I seen her, with no explanation of what happened to her after you saw her. I mean, they were rebellious, argumentative with the cops. I mean, that should let you know that they're hiding something. Of course, you can't charge them unless you have facts. Now, both parents have to do time. One have to do a year, one have to do 20 months. I pray to God that by the time they get out, they have found enough evidence, whether they find Oakley or not, that they can charge them with murder. Because as you heard, they are treating this as a homicide. Of course, y'all know I'm going to keep y'all informed on the latest updates that I find on the case. So y'all stay tuned. It's not over, and I'm not finished. Y'all be safe. One love.